Welcome to Chik, the podcast where the girl with many titles talks about life, the good and the bad, and everything around it. We're going to sit, chat, share life stories and experiences, from business to relationship. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Chik podcast. I am so excited to have Ellie back. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, and I'm glad to be here.
Good, me too. I was just, because you were just saying you're in the work office. I have been telling everyone about this job. So one, cannot wait to talk about this, but two, also what we talked about in systems and everything before, because I guess, especially after, I recently did an update on your side, it's really interesting now to see, within a few weeks, where I am versus, where both of us are.
I know, it's just the things that have changed over our years of friendship and business friendship, I guess. We have our life friendship and we have our business friendship.
Yeah.
And they're totally intermingled, but yeah.
It's great. Absolutely love it. Right, so we'll start with a challenge or tip of the week, and then we'll talk about where you are with life and what's going on.
Okay, so a challenge or a tip?
Yeah.
Challenge of the week. Challenge of the week is really just time this week. And headspace. It's just been so full on prepping for the move. And we'll get into it, I'm sure, in a bit, but also being part-time employed and running a business. And of course, the minute you cave and get a job, your business starts exploding and getting busy again. And that's been great in so many ways. And I'm deciding to ride the wave in the busyness because even though I don't really believe in busy, just because I know it will serve me when I get to this next step and when we're in the US to keep my business active. And so that's kind of my challenge of the week. Although my excitement, my celebration of the week is that today I got an email that says I've been invited to my naturalization ceremony, so I'm getting my Irish citizenship.
Exciting! Oh, that's so exciting. After all that stress as well. Whilst you do that, I'll give you I wanted to do a tip, but I think challenge is good because I think, especially if we're going to talk about juggling life, business, jobs, everything, I think for me, it's the fact that a lot goes on at once, and my challenge at the moment is just not letting everything consume me. And when it starts to feel overwhelming, just being able to sit there, take a deep breath, choose one thing to prioritize, and then move on. I noticed I found myself doing that today, and I was like, yeah, I think after this podcast, I'm going to have a bath, nice long bath, and chill.
I know. I think sometimes just letting yourself do whatever you need to do and sort of, I know that sounds really weird, but sort of following your own energies for the moment it's so much easier said than done, but can be a huge thing. So for me yesterday, I was honestly flapping. I got into a little bit of a panic about the move, and I just let myself start packing for I took an hour and just started organizing things, and that organized my mind enough that I could get back to work.
That makes sense because I think I'm on the opposite end. So I was so efficient last week, and then this week I came on and I wasn't expecting it. So in my mind, I was like, oh, today I felt really tired. I slept for ages last night. So I think it's just my body saying, shut down. And I'm just gonna have to listen to that.
So here's the question. Where are you at in your cycle?
Right. So I started tracking it, and this is where I'm at. I think when I'm actually on, that's the week when I'm just.
I know you're not super regular, but.
Yeah, I'm really not. So I couldn't even tell you exactly where, but I think I'm just at the phase where it's the drained and I just need to rest phase. But then I'm going away, I've got loads of things that are happening and systems I need to put in place to make sure that whilst I'm away, I'm not taking my laptop or anything like that. So I think I'm just in that I need to just chill and breathe. And I think as well, because when I'm like this week, I get stressed easily by stuff. And when things out of my control aren't going well, that stresses me even more. Whereas I said to myself earlier, like, do the things you can control, so at least it feels like you have done them, and then anything else you don't feel like you can control, write it down. So like I had to get back to a client about like some of the systems I've been doing with them, just to be like the stuff I could have been doing and I want to be doing, and yet there's no communication. So I want to do my job to the best of your, but like to the best of my ability, but I can't do that unless that's like you communicate. But at the same time, it's going to look like we've not really moved forward when actually we have. So luckily we had a plan at the beginning of the year, so I was able to go through that and say to myself, we've actually done quite a lot, and we're really ahead in terms of some of the plans that we put for the year. We're ahead enough for me to be able to go, okay, if it's not working right now, that's okay. It's good to talk about this now and rectify things.
Thing is so I've never done anything like I'm having to balance, like we talked about,
Yeah,
running a business, and I'm having to run a balance working in a part-time job. And I work at a tech company. We just got super, super fast internet, but I don't know if that applies to the guest network. I don't really know how the techie side of all that goes. Um, and yeah, so it's just we're gonna trade some better connection for worse cameras.
honestly, do you know what? I feel like that's wait, because we've not even like we're talking as if like everyone knows. So tell us about this new job and going part time and why you decided to go part time.
Yeah, okay. So I've been running my business full-time, self-employed for almost 5 years up until, so I had done it from September 2019 full-time, like that's when I went out. And I had been part-time with a full-time job and a part-time on the business for a couple of years before that. And then the start of this year happened, and it was just, I don't know if it was the universe or if it was the move and how much energy and emotion and bandwidth that was taken from me. And that's, visa applications, my Irish citizenship application, just all the uncertainty that I was holding because we knew we'd be moving at some point this year, but we didn't know when it would be.
Yeah,
Um, and and then on top of that, we are officially in a recession in the UK. I know businesses closing left and right. I also know some that are thriving, but
yeah,
I didn't have the headspace to figure out how to become one of the thriving, right?
yeah,
Things had really, really slowed down. And I was still getting work and I was still enjoying what I was doing, but it wasn't enough.
yeah,
And I'm also in a really fortunate position where, in theory, we could have lived off my husband's wages.
yeah,
Um, but we have financial goals we're trying to hit. Like we want we have savings we want to have for when we move, and we didn't want to have to make we're going to all these weddings and things this summer. We didn't want to have to make sacrifices and adventures over the summer. So I just was like, okay, let's see what's out there for a part-time job. And we're I got three in 1 week,
yeah.
three offers for three part-time jobs in a week, and took the one with the highest pay, but also the coolest one, like the one that just looked like it'd be the most
Yeah.
fun. And it is. It's been really hard and really fun and really exhausting balancing the two, but I'm really enjoying it. They are part-time, they were all part-time, either temp or contracting. So
Uh,
I didn't want to do it in a non-ethical way that I felt like I was taking on a full-time or a permanent role, then I would be leaving.
yeah.
And that just felt better for me. And I mean, granted, capitalism, I might have had to, if it shook out that way, I maybe would have, but it was, I was lucky enough to not have to go down that path. And anywho, so it's been 5 weeks of balancing the two. I know it's just gone so fast. I was telling Paul, like, I'll be handing in my notice in like 3 or 4 weeks because I
That's
want to give him about
crazy.
6 weeks
Yeah,
notice. So it'll be just shy of 4 months, so probably 3.5 months that I'm in this role.
yeah.
And it's just that flies.
And what is it? And
Um,
what's the role?
this is so funny because it sounds like a type of role that wouldn't be part-time, but I think they wanted to, or that wouldn't be temporary.
Yeah,
I think they wanted to test the waters before figuring out how they wanted this role to fit into the company.
yeah,
So it's a big tech company, like a big global tech company, and they've had software developers here in Belfast forever.
yeah.
And they opened up a big office and needed an office manager. And there's a return to work mandate, and my job is pretty much to make the software developers want to come to work. So making sure there's events and really good snacks in the fridge, and that like every amenity is thought of so that they want to come to work.
Yeah, I love that so much because one of our friends said your job was to bring back the vibes. So whenever I'm talking to people, I'm like,
Yeah, it really
"Ah,
is.
oh yeah,
And it's slowly but surely working. Like I think they're realizing that obviously there's camaraderie and there's we have a place where this is again a big global company. So there's now a space where other people and their teams in other parts of the world can now come visit Belfast, and they do, and we have visitors and other team members from around the world coming and dropping in, and there's these meetings, and they all get like delivery credit every week that they all can only use while they're here in the office. So it's like geofenced.
no, so cool."
So yeah.
Do you know what? I love this so much as well because I think sometimes, especially when you go to work for yourself, you kind of forget what other people do. And I have said, like I've said recently to my team, I forgot about corporate and I looked at it as just a negative thing because my experience in corporate was negative. But actually, there are so many perks you can get in corporate that if we can take the good things from corporate and bring them into how we build our businesses, we don't have to figure it all out ourselves. And it takes like this weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things about corporate like that I think are so useful. Things like I know this company and a lot of tech companies, their tenured staff get shares or stocks or
Yeah.
part, essentially they get to grow when the company grows, and if this company ever IPOs, they're gonna like some of their most dedicated staff are gonna be very well off because of it.
Yeah.
And it's things like that that you can build into a small business in ways as well. But the other thing is like it took a lot of getting over my ego to go
Yeah.
back into corporate, right? Like I had built this thing and I had done it and I was telling everybody like how to run your business simply and all these things, and I
Yeah.
still do that. But it feels like a kick in the teeth a little bit to like be like, oh, I don't have it all figured out. Or but also like that's the thing about running a business is I started it because I wanted something like there was a season of my life that it made the most sense. And
Yeah.
it will still continue to make the most sense in future seasons of my life.
Yeah.
But you have to just kind of go with the flow in life sometimes. And
Yeah.
life was saying, you're going to need something mentally and emotionally easier. You're going to need guaranteed work
Yeah.
that you don't have to mentally and emotionally work hard for. And I'm putting that in quotes because running a business isn't always hard, but it does take a certain level of energy sometimes, or a certain amount of focus, or a certain amount of creativity that I didn't have at the start of this year. And
Yeah.
in some ways, really still don't have.
And that makes so much sense. And funnily enough, because I think that you were saying there about your ego, but when, like, you talked to us about going back to work, for me, that was you've built systems that mean you can do both when you want to. And I think there's this thing that you have to do one or the other. You have to live one life or the other when it's like you've said, you'll go through different seasons. And for you to be able to take note of where you are right now and how you're feeling, that's a good thing that you can turn around and say, right, well, I've built enough systems to make sure our business and life can work, but I can also go back to work for a little bit and it's not forever. Like you gave yourself such
Yeah.
set goals that it's working out that way. And I think there are a lot of people in corporate and in business that would never be able to stick to one and have such clear goals and be able to execute it the way that you have.
Mm. I think the thing is like I put this in my newsletter, but genuinely you're right. Like this job is 3 days a week. It's longer hours than most jobs in the UK because it's a big American company and they want overlapping hours with both India and with America.
Uh,
And because my job is to sort of get here and make sure the office is set and also be sort of the one that makes sure the office is sort of sorted at the end of the day.
yeah,
So it is a long day.
yeah,
And so I found, and it's not, it's funny, it's not a hard job, but it's also a hard job. It's really
yeah,
weird. And so going from the fact that, especially when the business was kind of slow at the start of the year, I had a lot of free time. I got to really nurture and follow my own energy so much, to going back to, okay, well, like I've got 3 days of work where I have to be in the office, and I've also got 2 days of work because I'm still building websites and systems for people. And of course, business, like I said, got a little busier once I got a job because the
yeah,
universe just somehow. And But the thing is I wouldn't be able to do that without my systems or my team. Like I would have to just choose one or the other.
Yeah,
The fact that I have a team that's going in and I was in a free bundle over the last couple of weeks
yeah.
and we got hundreds of new email subscribers. And annoyingly, there's no like automated system to take a Squarespace purchase and put it in your email list. So we're doing that manually.
Oh
And
wow.
Heidi has been sorting that, like just going in. I mean, it doesn't take, it's like 3 clicks for every,
Yeah.
like copy email, 3 clicks, but it's still needed done for almost 300 people.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to do that with her. Or I'm doing a website right now for a client who needed really advanced SEO work, like beyond my own knowledge and capabilities. And I would have had to turn that work down because I wouldn't have been able to do the research to get to the level he
Yeah.
needs. Except for I have Helena on my team, and she runs a very successful travel blog, and SEO is her
Yeah.
jam. Like, so systems and teams, guys. It's how you keep it
Hon- Honestly,
up.
and do you know what? We'll come back to that because obviously we'll do an update on like what we've been working on and what we are about to be working on. But I guess you've covered a little bit in terms of like how you were mentally at the beginning of the year. But how are you feeling now, getting ready for the move and with where everything is with work and life?
Honestly, a little bit exhausted, and I don't want to, like, it's not, I don't think I've optimized yet. I'm still figuring out the balance between both things. And I'm the type of person I can't do something and not care. Like I'm leaving this job in 2 months, but I still am giving it everything, right? Like, and that's just who I am. So it's definitely finding the balance for
Yeah,
sure. And then, and I'm a little drained. But I think I'm starting to figure it out. Like honestly, I feel so much better this week than I did last week.
yeah, that's good.
Um, and I feel like I'm starting to get, I know the ropes. I have rapport with the
Yeah,
people on site. And I think it's good.
that's
But
good.
and as far as the move, oh gosh, that's a whole other ball game. Like I still feel really overwhelmed. I still feel so excited. I
Yeah,
still feel a little guilty. I still feel like I'm gonna, miss so much here. Like there's just so
yeah,
many feelings. And yesterday, those feelings were processed by me starting packing. So I had already bought some like big like vacuum seal bags, and I put like these our wool blankets and my quilts and some of our jumpers,
yeah.
vacuum suctioned them all up. Bought a bunch yesterday. Then I decided I was like, we're not going to be able to send. We're using Send My Bag to send a few things in advance.
Okay, yes.
And I was like, we don't actually have enough luggage to like just use luggage. So I was like, I need to order some boxes. And I was like, what's the biggest box I can send?
Yeah,
And that was a whole research thing. And then, yeah, they're coming on Saturday and I will get to do more packing. And for those of you who don't know, like, other than karaoke, packing's probably my happy place. Like, I love packing.
yeah. I love that. I'm still like,
So that is a really good coping mechanism for all the feelings that are going on with the move.
but do you know what? It's so funny you talking about this because I feel like we have conversations and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like that. So you just made me realize about the packing being so relaxing as well. Because so, like I'd say mentally, I'm like you, like life's been so up and down. But I think I've been really good at finding what the triggers are and putting things in place to make sure that I keep those things in place. Like my Tuesday self care day still been that. I went to the gym the other day, but and I wasn't feeling great. But I thought I went to therapy. I was already dressed for the gym, so I was like, well, it's on my way home. So even if I'm only in there for half an hour, which I was there longer, and I wasn't doing anything too heavy, but it helped. And I've noticed that like I'm sleeping. For me, as soon as I stop sleeping, I know something's wrong. I'm really it. G's a massive help now because I eat proper meals every single day, and that didn't used to happen. So that's one thing mentally I don't even have to think about.
Mhm.
Whereas sleep, when I don't sleep, it then lets me know that I've not figured something out. So I've even been able to put things in place with him where even like the check-ins that we do, if I just want to do like if he wants to check how I'm doing during the day, above me I've got a board and I'm writing down my number because like our deal is we'll see what number we are, and as long as we add up to 10, we can figure the day out. Whoever's the higher number can support the other person. But to see those things physically as well and check in and do that, I'm starting to notice that, like, because again, I need to pack. So in my mind, after this, I was going to check in for the flight because I've got it all written down my little tick list. Check in for the flight, do my first bit of packing in my smaller suitcase so that at least if that's done, it's just the bigger suitcase. I've planned what I'm going to be wearing every single day. Like, it's everything's been planned to a T. So in my mind, I know that that's going to be my like de-stressing. And like I was
Mhm.
talking to a client earlier, and it's really funny because so I'm doing like CO and system work for a client, and this is part of like his other team. And I was saying to this guy that sometimes people look at our generation, I think sometimes and think we're a bit too soft and fluffy. But I think when you're aware of like how you are mentally and physically and what you need to put in place to be able to go, you don't always need to be on the go. And sometimes you can be switched on all the time. When you put those little things in place to make sure that you can feel human again. Last week, like you said, you might not have been feeling great, and this week you're going, actually, I can feel a big difference because you're taking note without realizing. And I've noticed that even without thinking about it, I'm putting things in place. Like the packing, I even thought I didn't even realize I'd thought about that because I thought, let me have a. So I'm gonna check in, have a bath, and then do a bit of packing, and then just go downstairs and do nothing for the rest of the night. And I thought
Mm.
this is different. I don't like. I normally don't. I'm not aware that I even have to put those things in place because normally when I put them in place, it's when I'm suffering and I have to do something, and by then I'm ready for a breakdown.
Mhm. Yeah,
Wow.
it's definitely interesting to start noticing those things. And it's great that you and G have that system. Like Paul has this tendency, and honestly, I won't even lie, it kind of drives me nuts because be walking up the stairs to go use the loo or something because I tend to work downstairs and he tends to work upstairs.
Yeah.
And he'll just be like, "Are you winning?" And I'm like, "What does that mean?" And to him, that means, "Are you all right? Like, do you have any, like, how's it going?" Et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, winning is such a black and white, like, final
Yeah.
destination to me
Yeah.
that my answer is almost always no.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, so I think we might need a different question, but
But that's
but he does
interesting.
kindly check in a lot.
Yeah, which is really good because I think definitely, like, I was talking to my therapist about this, and she was saying, like, men and women think so differently that sometimes it's just figuring out, like, your couple's language. And no one else has to know that. But like you said, that's really positive that you know he checks in so you can appreciate it, but you know it doesn't work for you. So you can then go, oh, actually, because it's the same for me. When we, like, he always used to give himself a number, and I was like, what does that number mean? Whereas for me now, when we both have a number, it forces me to check in, but then it makes me look and go, okay, he's a four, I'm a six. Therefore, there are certain things that I can take on because we both have things put in place to make sure that we know, like, ideally, what do we want to be doing every day? Today's a Thursday, so and our cleaner comes on a Friday, so we know that we've got a Maggie clean. He's seen I'm stressed today, so he's already tidied up loads of stuff that I would have been doing. So it helps in that kind of sense where you're like, oh, okay, like, yay.
Yeah, that's awesome. I might steal that.
Try it. So I saw it from Brené Brown as well. So
The problem though is that Paul is, I say this with love and it's out of sarcasm, but Paul's a robot. So he will be like a 7 or 8 every day.
uh oh, you know another one you should try. So another one we do is a check-in each night because so we think G's new or spicy. So just for context, for Ellie and the systems Ellie does and what we talked about last time, actually I've implemented so much. So
Mm,
got a cleaner that's now weekly. And when we were discussing kind of where I needed help in life and to figure out like life and business, we realized that there was no, well, Ellie made me realize there was no shame in getting a cleaner, but also looking at what else needed to be put in place. So I started with a board, and this board has like what month we're on, the types of things we can do each day. And whilst that works for me, it's not always the best for G, except today we know it's a Maggie clean. And my therapist then said, oh, maybe it's just that if he's neurospicy or he thinks of life in a different way, you need to find where your common, like where your words kind of join and where you see life the same. So
mhm.
she made me look at this thing called the emotions wheel. And on this emotions wheel, it has like in the middle, it's got big words. So it might say like happy, angry, excited.
Yes, I've seen these where it's like got the most understood and common emotions kind of in the middle, and then it's got the like
Yeah,
variants of each emotion. So happy might be excited or
yeah,
joyous or content, and
yeah,
scared, angry might be actually scared or, all those things kind of underneath and be
yeah.
sub emotions.
Exactly. So we committed and said we'll check in every single night and just make sure that because we didn't used to do the number thing every single day, but we did when we first started dating, and I noticed we stopped doing it. Whereas the emotions wheel, we said, right, let's try this every night. Like, we'll do it with the wheel in front of us to start with, and then some nights, if we don't feel like having that, we can bring it up. But I think I'm a bit similar to Paul in that, like, I'm a bit more of a robot, because to me, I'm always just quite happy. Whereas I've realized now that, like, my mood during the day can fluctuate. So I might go from a 7 to a 6. But I'm asking myself, okay, what is that? And sometimes when I don't know the words, because I'm led by emotions, whereas G really understands, like, G was a counselor anyway, but he understands that emotions come from subconscious words, even if you're not realizing that they're there, they are there. So I will then sometimes use the emotions wheel to go, I wonder why I went from a 7 to a 6. And I look at the words and I'm like, oh, maybe somewhere in there I was telling myself that, oh, I'm too stressed and I can't do something. And I'm being negative to myself when actually stress, as a business owner, stress is going to be a part of our everyday. You're looking for business, you're looking to get organized. We're talking about systems. Not only have I been implementing systems into our life, I've been implementing systems to clients' lives and my business. Sorry, clients' businesses and my business. So of course it's not gonna be easy when, like, this client I was talking to earlier, they were saying they've been introduced to Slack because we did some work together, and they were like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I actually think for one of this client's other businesses, we need to introduce something like Slack, and maybe Asana, but I'm not too sure on Asana yet. So I was then like, have you watched Ellie's videos? And they were like, oh, I've not seen the Asana one, but they were talking about Monday.com. And I thought, this would have been a stress for me to try and figure out the differences. And I was like, we can just ask you to come back for this other business because you built Slack and Asana for them. You're coming in right now, like, we're in the middle of setting up what you'll do for our website, what you'll do for Slack and Asana. We have moved all of our chat now from WhatsApp to Slack. Everything is just so much more efficient. Don't get me wrong, Asana, I still need to get better at that. But when you come in and see the boards I've put in, what's like bookmarked and what's been delegated, I looked and I thought, okay, this, like, when I do my check-ins, I then go, okay, yes, I might have gone from like a fluctuating, I'm on my period, so of course I'm gonna go from being happy and then feeling anger. But actually that anger maybe is just coming from my body, and I just need to reassure myself that everything's okay. There have been systems put in place. And once I decide to shut down, G made me promise a couple of months ago that from 8 p.m. my phone's on do not disturb. So even that being a system, Slack, no notifications. My phone in general, unless it's someone urgent, which is just my brother now, no one else gets through. Absolutely nothing comes through, and it is the best thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have that only my Slack. So we do almost all of our team communication in Asana.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
and none of my clients have my phone
yeah,
number. So the only my the I leave my Slack on all the time because we don't communicate in WhatsApp. My clients can't contact me. If
yeah,
I'm on vacation or something, my out of office will say, if it's an emergency, contact, team
yeah.
at Calibrated Concepts. And so if there's an emergency, Slack is they know that they can message me on Slack, and that's the one place I will probably see it. However, everything on my phone turns off at 10 o'clock at night, like everything,
Love
and does
that.
not turn back on until 7. The only people that are exceptions are my two best friends, my dad, and Paul.
Love that.
Anyone else, if it's an actual emergency and they have my phone number, can ring me twice, I think, and get through. I have it set up like that so that if my mom needs to, it's an actual emergency, she can call me twice and she gets through again.
Yeah,
But that is not like, yeah, it's just, yeah, you need to have those boundaries. The other thing is I have almost every app turned off, like notifications turned off on everything.
yeah,
Like, so other than WhatsApp and Slack and I guess my messaging type apps, but like Instagram, no, no, I don't
yeah.
have any notifications on any of that stuff.
Honestly, same. But it's so interesting as well because from the last podcast we did, I feel like I was in such a place where I was like, systems, like, teach me, like, what's going on. But I think it's in the fact, like, everything you're saying, it's, you can do it in life and business, and you can set those boundaries. And I think for me, especially, the reason I have people on the podcast and the reason, like, I asked you to come back is it's not just because I thought, oh, let me get someone on. It's because genuinely Like you are helping transform my life, my business, my clients' lives and businesses, and being able to put some of these things in place and being able to go, what type of life do I want? What type of business do I want? If you do not put these systems in place, you can't expect things to change. And I think I was lucky enough to find you and the team that we have to be able to go, we are similar people, and you have people that back you up. And like, I'm gonna miss have like our brunch, like you started our brunches, and that I'm
Mm.
gonna miss so much because even just having that space where it's like, right, I've committed to this, I am gonna be going. It's every so often. It's not. I don't need to be there every week.
It's only once every
So,
other month. That's like 6 times a year you need to commit. Like,
which doesn't seem like a lot, and yet you walk back and you're like, I have done so much this last couple of months. I have implemented so much this last couple of months, and so much is going on. Even when we're struggling, you've got a team of people that just get it, and you don't need to
yeah.
explain things.
And I think that's the thing is having a team. Like, I started this because I really wanted a very tight knit group of people that we could hold each other accountable. But I also handpicked the people in the brunch club because I wanted diverse experiences, diverse types of businesses. I wanted product businesses, I wanted service businesses, I wanted agencies, I wanted it all so that we none of us were like, so there was when somebody had a problem, there was somebody that saw it a completely different way,
Yeah,
right? And it's really worked. We've been doing this for, by the time I leave, 2 years, which is wild.
crazy.
And so that's one thing. And then it's also some accountability, but it's also people that are like in your corner. So to help you, like to hold your boundaries. So when you're
Yeah,
saying, oh, like I'm feeling like this client's pushing against my price boundary or my time boundary or
yeah,
whatever, we're like, don't you dare move, you know, don't you dare move. And I think systems, I've talked about this so many times, but for me, systems are at its very core for me, like the most important reason to have systems is because they hold your boundaries for you
yeah,
automatically, right? You're out of office on your emails, hold your boundaries for you. Right now, I had to set one when I moved or when I started this job. I set one that says, I'm only working on Wednesdays and Fridays right now. Like, don't expect to hear from me on a Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday. And that just sets my boundary really clearly. When people email
yeah,
me, they get an immediate out of office type of email that tells them when they can expect to hear back from me and how to access me in the meantime if they feel like so they can book a call with me or contact my team or um things like my scheduler. That's another thing. So that's how
yeah,
another way people can access me. It means that I don't give out my phone number. People
yeah,
cannot text me. So there's all these systems, my client onboarding systems, it handles my contracts and those types of things. And that holds my boundaries of headspace, but it also, again, holds my boundaries of how I communicate with my clients. What
yeah,
are my terms of business are like what my invoice terms are and how they can pay it. Like all of that, systems hold your boundaries
yeah,
and they make your life better, but they also make your business feel more spacious, but also more professional.
yeah. That's so true because mine's so like I come up in onesies. So there's a relaxed element, but it still needs to be professional to the point where you can't just do whatever you want when you want.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally. The thing is, professional doesn't need to be corporate.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you can be professional in the sense that you offer really good service, you have your contracts in place, you take payments like that, and you make
yeah,
the whole but you don't need to show up in professional clothes or like
yeah,
corporate clothes. You don't need to use corporate language. I freaking do, and I
yeah,
swear all over the place. Like, but you still, at the end of the day, need to be providing that really good professional service,
yeah.
right?
That's so true. And honestly, this has already gone so quickly, so I'm gonna have to rush us to end. And to be fair, so we end with the win of the week anyway, but I think you just highlighted my win of the week of the fact that sometimes you don't see how far you come in business. And for us to have been for me to be in a part of the brunch club for 2 years, for you to have started this 2 years ago, for us to be, mind you, so when I was talking about this client and bringing you back in, even knowing that we still get, like you said, we've got life, friendship, there's an amalgamation, but a respect in that. It's that reminder for me that we're doing something right, and we're doing it in a way where we can show people that no, just because you say this is how it is, we're proving it can be done another way, and that's okay. So yeah, that's completely my win.
That's the whole thing about running a business is it can be so easy to fall into the trap of this is how they're doing it. They're successful. We're going to follow that
Yeah,
blueprint. But you're only ever going to really be successful in business by following your own definition of success,
Yes.
whether that be money, flexibility, um, you know, creativity, like whatever that means for you.
Yeah. Love that. And what would your win of the week be?
One of the week is absolutely getting my invite to become an Irish citizen, like
Yeah.
100%. I've been waiting for this for over 2 years. I applied in February of 2022. So, and it will be June, like the end of this month before I'm naturalized.
Wow. But good thing it's coming at the right. It feels like before you move, everything's being put in place to make sure that you can leave in peace and everything's done.
Yeah, it definitely is good that way. The other thing though is like by the time I'm naturalized, I will have just the nick of time to then apply for a passport and have it like delivered.
Oh, geez. Well, fingers crossed it all works out. And
I mean, worst comes to worst, we could have had it delivered to his grandma or something and picked it up when we came to visit next or
uh,
whatever. It would have been fine, but
yeah, but you want to have
I
it.
think I'll actually get it like in hand.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Right, it's gonna cut out, so I do have to say thank you so much again for coming on because I know with your move and everything going on, we'll definitely have to do a longer one. And when you come back, we'll do one in person because I think to be able to highlight even more of like what you do, what we've been doing, I'll link everything that you're currently doing, and I'm going to share loads of the stuff that you're doing in house with us because I think it's just really exciting to be able to show people because I don't want to like show client stuff, but it's ours.
Mhm.
And like I said, you have
Right.
changed my life business, so I want to show people this is what it looks like.
On my like I have a bank of evidence I keep about like my business is good, those kinds
Yeah.
of things that I make a difference in people's lives. And my favorite one is probably that it says my systems give you butterflies.
Honestly, it's amazing.